Hey guys, Alex Kazor from SteelersDepot.com here recapping the Steelers win a preseason game. That doesn't get to be said too often, and it was probably the one that you want to win if you do care about such a thing. They get a 27-14 win over the New Orleans Saints in the third preseason game, the tune-up game down in the Superdome. It's funny, Mercedes-Benz bought the rights to the Superdome, but no one calls it Mercedes-Benz. It's just known as the Superdome. That's money probably not well spent. But I digress. Getting into recap again, position by position, just kind of a quick recap of what happened again in the Steelers' victory. Starting at quarterback, and man, what a difference a week makes, and what a difference Ben Roethlisberger makes. Him and Landry Jones tonight working with the first team offense, absolutely on fire. Between the two of them, Ben and Landry, they threw 8 incompletions, 31 of 39, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Both were spectacular, and that's the thing about Landry Jones is that we most people kind of killed this guy last week, and I know it was not an ideal week, and obviously a lot of things went wrong, and there's no denying that. I was one of the first to say that. The first post I had on Landry Jones after the Eagles game was that interception, the pick six by Nolan Carroll. And that was a really bad play by Landry Jones, and that was quick to point that out. But you have to look at it in the aggregate, in the totality of it, and the bottom line is Landry Jones is a really tough kid. Both from a mistake standpoint and a short-term memory standpoint, he'll make a mistake, he forgets about it, he moves on, as he showed in the Eagles game, and from an actual in the pocket, in the moment standpoint, that big completion to Sammy Coates, I think in the third quarter tonight. He took a big shot there, and he made a throw and got hit, and that's what the quarterback position has to do. But Jones was fantastic with the first team offense, and that's the Landry Jones that you want to have and feel comfortable about as your backup. But the quarterbacks, it was not easy going down there in New Orleans, running a lot of no huddle, muddle huddle. Ben said that's kind of what they wanted to do in game plan. So that's a rise to the challenge. You're on a new pieces, new season. You're on a silent count a lot. It's pretty loud down there, still in the dome. A lot of fans showing up. New Orleans has a great fan base, and they hummed and they carved up that Saints defense, whether it was Ben or Landry. And so hats off to both of them. Ben, you knew, it's just nice to see it again because you hadn't seen it in so long. And Landry, I think that's a more accurate representation of what Landry Jones can be, and hopefully that quiets the anti Landry Jones pitchfork crowd. Running back position, nice to see Bell out there again. He had the fumble, kind of a weird play, but no big deal there. It's so rare for him. And then DeAngelo Williams, not a whole lot to really note about his performance. I thought the interesting thing, and maybe I'm making too much of this, and I was going to write about it, my winners and losers, but I went, let me just talk about it here because I don't know exactly how I feel. But, J.R. Richardson got first carries over Fitzgerald Toussaint. Now, Richardson ended up finishing the game. It was Richardson Toussaint, then Richardson came back in. So make of that what you will. But I thought that was interesting, and I thought Richardson did some nice things. The running lanes were not plentiful tonight. Toussaint does a good job in pass protection. Toussaint is the guy that you want, in pass protection and probably catching the ball out of the backfield as a more trustworthy guy on third down than Richardson. Richardson's going to give you more splash and that home run threat. So, we'll see. Obviously, all three are going to be, or both of them plus D Will are going to be on the week one roster with Le'Veon Bell on suspension. So, they can mix and match. All three are going to be active. They don't have to make a choice necessarily, before the game. They can just kind of see how things go. Want to see if Richardson gets any time on kick returns. It's been Toussaint all camp, but Richardson, he's got the speed. Not a big deal to me who's the kick returner. I did a study earlier in the summer that kind of says as long as you get the ball to the 20 for the Steelers offense, with how potent it is, their average yards per drive is about the same as whether it's a 25 or 30, 35, whatever. It's all kind of the same. But that's the storyline there. Not a huge storyline, probably not impactful for the short term. But week 3 when Bell comes back, they're going to have to make a decision, and it's going to come down to Richardson versus Toussaint. Tight end, Jesse James. You saw what he can do, what 6'7" can do in the red zone. I think that's where he's going to make his money this year. I don't know how much of a huge threat he's going to be, outside of the 20s. He's going to be a check down guy. Some of those Hank concepts. He ran one tonight, just run that little curl, sit down, show the numbers to your quarterback. I don't know if he's going to be a whole lot beyond that in terms of a receiver, but red zone, you got 6'7" out there. You can do a lot with that, and that was a credit to Ben for extending a play and making Cam Jordan look silly. But that's the guy you look for in the red zone. Is the big 6'7" power forward down there. So that was good to see from Jesse James. Xavier Grimble up and down. Showed some stuff as a blocker. Had that one nice pull and lead block for Le'Veon Bell. Had a 22-yard catch. Kind of his first wow reception of the preseason games. We've seen some of those things in training camp. If you follow along on Steelers Depot, you've seen talk about that. But that was the first time in game, so that was good to see. It was a penalty. I think he had maybe a questionable drop. The blocking, one time he got blown up the line of scrimmage, and he got called for holding. So up and down for Grimble, but you're seeing some attractive things there. I still think David Johnson has that spot. If Green goes on reserve pup, or if he's not ready week 1, then you're opening the door for Grimble. I'm still not sure how I feel about that. David Johnson's got that spot, though, because I didn't realize this. I wrote about it when I was talking about, the David Johnson conundrum. I didn't realize David Johnson had 33 3/4-inch arms for a 6'1" frame. That honestly shocked me. So makes me feel a little bit better about some of those matchups because he does have the length. So when you do some of those things like you're trying to block, Carlos Dunlap and Michael Johnson, you're going to see that in week 2 against Cincinnati. It's a little tougher for David Johnson, but it's a whole other topic another time. Wide receiver, again, pretty good across the board. AB, Markus Wheaton. Good to see Markus Wheaton. Welcome back. 2 catches, 40 yards. That was as many catches tonight as he had the whole training camp. So it's good to kind of shake some of that rust off. He looked good. That was a great catch down the right sideline to take it away from the cornerback. So high marks for both those guys. Eli Rogers, we talk about so much. Everybody's healthy. You can kind of finally see how the pecking order goes. And first-team receivers the whole time. AB, Wheaton, Rogers in the slot. No Sammy Coates, no Darius Hayward-Bay. So, that could be your week 1 kind of starting lineup. I think it's a fluid situation. I think there'll be a lot of mixing and matching. You've got 5 guys there that are all competent, capable, that are all going to be active on game day. It's going to be really interesting. So I think you have a lot of flexibility, and it's a good problem to have. That's what one Twitter user said, and he's totally right. It's a good problem to have, not complaining. But it does make some tough decisions when you have so many cooks in the kitchen. Sammy Coates, even though kind of got demoted, I love him responding to the challenge. I think mentally Sammy Coates is fantastic for a second-year guy, taking responsibility, showing maturity, humility, getting better, rising to the occasion when he's kind of down. He had a touchdown today, which it was more of a concept than it was Sammy Coates doing something, but he had the big long catch from Landry Jones on the right seam, I think early in the third quarter. So he's making plays. He's saying, yeah, I recognize that I got demoted, because he saw it. He saw Eli Rogers out there and Wheaton out there and him on the bench for the whole first time and didn't get any run from Ben. So he made some plays, and that's absolutely what happened. Offensive line, always tough to tell. Offensive line first time through. I think generally across the board they protected well, though. I think they did their best job so far, based off basically last week and this week. They did a great job against the Saints, who have some pass rushers, Cameron Jordan and the like. So I think they gave Ben and Landry good pockets to work from, and that's part of the reason why Ben and Landry were so successful. That they were clean pockets, and whenever the quarterback felt some pressure, they just had to step up or slide, or they had paths to go to it. It wasn't just a complete collapse or interior A-gap pressure where the quarterback has nowhere to go. Stunt pickup was good. Saints ran that a little bit. They could run some 4-3 fronts and stuff. So that was good to see, because that's kind of always an issue for Pittsburgh, some of that stunt pickup, especially, again, you're on the road, you're working on silent counts, you may be making checks on your protections to the line, you're seeing blitzes, guys walking in, walking out. Could be a challenge. Thought Steelers did a nice job with it. And just hope Marcus Gilbert comes back. Early reports as of 12:28 a.m. right now, East Coast time. Makes it sound like it's not serious. That's what Tomlin said. Hopefully, for one time, Tomlin tells us something truthful about an injury, because Ryan Harris would be a big drop-off. Appreciate bringing in Ryan Harris in for all the right reasons. Experienced guy, swing guy, much better than what you had last year, but it's a big drop-off. Let's see. The defensive line, Javon Hargrave, guy's eating. Oh my goodness, Javon Hargrave getting that first sack today. That's a nice kind of monkey off his back, but he's been getting pressure all camp, all preseason. He'll be a little bit quiet last week against Philadelphia, but got a sack tonight, just destroying whoever that center was or guard to get his first sack. He did it multiple times, getting that interior A-gap pressure, and those are a defensive lineman's best friend. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Interior A-gap pressure is a defensive lineman's best friend. And the hustle. What I liked about just as much as that pressure, because I know Hargrave, put him one-on-one, the guy's going to win. I mean, even against starters, I think Hargrave's going to eventually, figure stuff out and be almost unblockable. But the hustle downfield, the chase after the ball, the fanatical effort. I say that, week one, I said there was one play, just the effort, it was okay, but it wasn't fanatical. And what I saw tonight, him running downfield, involved in tackles, 10, 15 yards downfield, hustling that bubble butt to the ball. That's fanatical effort. That's a guy buying into the system, seeing to it, seeing Hayward day-to-day basis, getting the coaching and the preaching from John Mitchell, and that's what I saw tonight. And that's kind of making me as happy as anything he did as a pass rusher tonight. Elsewhere to it, dominant. He was fantastic tonight. Guy's a star. I mean, he's not a breakout guy. I think nationally he'll be a breakout where everyone goes, "Oh man, look at this Stephon Tuitt guy." But internally, Pittsburgh, we all know who Stephon Tuitt is, and he's a star in my book. And hopefully Hayward will be ready week one at 12:30 a.m. Cam Hayward has said that he'll probably be okay, MRI tomorrow, but he's told Ed Bouchette he'll be ready for week one against Washington. And fingers crossed for that. Elsewhere, I thought the defensive line in general played well tonight, top to bottom. Kashad Lyons had nice effort, good chase of the football. I think Von Hooks did some good things. I think Sigler did some good things. Ricardo Matthews was stiffing out a couple plays. A guy higher up on the depth chart going to make this team. LT Walton returned, which is big for him. So, that defensive line overall kind of really dominated the Saints offensive line. So I was happy to see that. Outside linebacker, Jarvis Jones. Credit to him against Teron Armstead. I don't know if Armstead had an injury. One commenter on Depot said, Armstead was hurt and they pulled him. I don't know what's going on there, but Jarvis won. He beat the guy that was there, and I'm not going to take that away from him. He's just staying on his feet. And that's the thing I said in my One Step to Fake series was, Jarvis is going to be a guy that unfortunately is never going to win on just athleticism the way that, let's say, a Bud Dupree can. It's going to be about effort and staying on your feet and rallying to the football. And I think on some of those pressures he had tonight, that was the thing, that he was not getting sealed up the arc, not losing his balance and getting knocked off and falling to the ground, staying on his feet and eventually being able to kind of get low enough in corner and get upfield and get pressure, even if that means the quarterback just has to step up and move off his launch spot. So that's big for Jarvis. Just stay on your feet, keep that high effort because he has a tremendous motor. And if you stay on your feet, good things will come. Travis Feeney. I want to get a good look at Travis Feeney. Saw one play, third and short, fourth quarter, and he held the point of attack, and he was kind of part of the reason why they got stuffed on third and short. And then I believe the Saints, that was the same play, fourth and short, where they got stuffed, and it was a turnover on down. So, Feeney against the run's a big thing for a lanky body, 230, 232. That's important for him. So I want to see Feeney against the run, but we'll check out his pass rush as well. Rasco was whipping the left tackle for the Saints late in the game, but I felt like that left tackle was gassed or something because it was just clean win 3 times in a row, and that's just a little bizarre. Rasco is not that kind of guy, but hey, again, he won, so I don't want to take away too much. Inside linebacker, so the big three at the back end of the depth chart: L.J. Ford, Steven Johnson, Tyler Matakevich, all making plays tonight. Ford has a spot, I think, locked up. It'd be very surprising to see Ford get cut just from where he's been running in the play. I think that's all been positive and saying the right things. Steven Johnson, back-to-back plays, had a great tackle coming downhill, had an interception. And then the next drive, Tyler Matakevich gets an interception. Both of them weren't that difficult. Johnson had to go to the ground and adjust, but it was kind of thrown. It was a bad throw, and Matakevich, the quarterback, never even saw him. So that was as easy of an interception, but still made a splash play. So the battle continues. I still give it to Steven Johnson, just based off, I think his tape's been fine. Matakevich has been the talk of town. But Matakevich has played clean a lot. He's been and he's taken advantage of those situations, which is important, of course. But I haven't really seen him shed a block and make a play in the alley or on the perimeter. And I still think the athleticism. I've seen the lack of athleticism hurt him, whether he's trying to shoot the B gap or trying to scrape over the top and get to the running back off tackle. So I've seen those issues come up. We'll see what happens there. I still give the edge to Steven Johnson because, again, since Kevin Colbert's been here since 2000, of all the free agents he signed in that main free agency window, only one has not made the opening 53-man roster. That's Kevin Barlow back in whenever that was, 2007, whatever year. So history says Steven Johnson. Cornerback, I want to see Ross Cockrell be more physical. He had that missed tackle on C.J. Spiller, and Spiller is not the guy that he was. That's a tackle a base corner has to make, and Cockrell missed it, allowed some yak. I like Ross Cockrell. I like where he's going. I don't want to harp on him too much, but when it be a base corner, you got to get your nose dirty, got to be more physical, got to be a more reliable tackler. And Cockrell missed that tackle, and it irked me. a little bit. I was yelling irrationally at my television. Elsewhere, Doran Grant, miscommunication. And I don't know exactly what happened with him and Jordan Dangerfield. I'm not trying to say exactly what the issue was, but clearly there was miscommunication, and clearly Doran Grant was involved with it. And that happened before. I forget what game it was. Lions, Eagles, they're running together a little bit, where he blitzed off the edge. It was a Lions game. And he said after the game he wasn't supposed to do that. So, miscommunication plays. That's what happened to Shamarko Thomas last year. Above the neck stuff. I think Grant's still been a solid tackler and an asset on special teams, but that stuff's just that's gonna kill you. And that's the issue we have with Shamarko Thomas, and we're gonna say the same about Doran Grant. If this was Shamarko making those mistakes, be all over him. So it's only fair to criticize Doran Grant as well. One last note of cornerback, Alhaj Shabazz. I've been talking him up for the practice squad. I think he's shown better in-game ball skills than Montel Garner. Had another pass breakup tonight, nearly an interception. Had the breakup against Green Beckham against the Eagles. I think those ball skills have come into play. I think the Garner has a lot of ball skills. He's an aggressive guy that has a go find the football mentality, but it hasn't always translated to the game. Maybe that's for a lack of opportunity. Maybe playing in the slot has something to do with that. You're not always getting those jump balls like Shabazz had, but that's what the tape has shown. So I still take Shabazz in the practice squad, provided that they bring in some sort of slot corner to give yourself some depth there, which I think they're going to look at final cutdowns here. And then safety, Jordan Dangerfield. I don't know what poor running back that was at the end of the game, but he put that guy to sleep. I do hope he's okay. Same with Daniel Lasco, but that's what Dangerfield does. He's got one speed and one motion. It's downhill as fast as possible, and he'll wreck your day. And that's what Jordan Dangerfield did. And then, safety cornerback hybrid, but Sean Davis, I like what he did against the run. I think his tackling's good, and I think the one upside or at least one of the upsides from Golson to Davis is that you have a bigger, more physical presence at that slot corner spot that's going to support the run a lot better than probably what Golson could. And whenever you're a defense that's going to play nickel 70% of the time, or so, give or take a couple percent, it's nice to have that 6 foot, 200 some plus, slot corner out there to help play the run a little bit. So Sean Davis still incomplete for me in coverage just because I haven't seen enough of it. It clearly hasn't been terrible because he's not getting picked on a lot. But, I think from a run standpoint, I think he's doing some good things and definitely a big step from where he was against Detroit. He's been a lot cleaner, a lot more consistent, has actually had some really impressive tackles that have saved, some good runs were prevented from being great runs. And that's big for any secondary, defender. I think it's everything I have. Again, just nice to get the win. Nice to have a good feeling after a Steelers game. Hopefully many more of those to come starting week 1 in Washington. Definitely keep tuned to Steelers Depot with myself, Dave Bryan, Matthew Marksey, Josh Carney, Dan Vasco, the whole group. We will definitely fill you in throughout the rest of the week. And we'll be doing this after every Steelers game. At least that's the hope plan. If you guys like it, let me know. If you want to see something different or added to this, please let me know in the comment section. Please follow Steelers Depot. We got great coverage for you the rest of the week. And thank you guys for listening to me. And I never know how to end these. I always say something awkward. So I'm just going to hit the stop broadcast button. And thank you guys again for following me and SteelersDepot.com.